And we are live, and good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, depending on where you are in our amazing world. Welcome to another very, very interesting conversation. I mean, I'm really, really excited because my beautiful friend, I'm pretty sure he won't mind if I'm calling him my beautiful friend, the amazing Dr. Gary Wellman is here to talk all about the body and the voice and how we can transform it through different things. So Gary, thank you so much, so very much for joining us today. Like I said, I am really excited to have you with us.
It's such a joy to be with you again. And yes, we have become friends after getting to know each other over the whole last year. Sophia, I'm touched that you wanted to have a deeper dive with me. And so here we are, deeper diving and exploring new territory.
Yes, and lots of things to talk about today, like not just you, which I do want to hear more about you, and and how you got to where you are now. I know we're just talking that you've got a PhD in, was it transpersonal psychology?
That you got a good memory, that's right.
Good, thank you. So tell us about you, Gary, and then also I'd love for you to explain this P.E.A. formula that
Ah,
we're going to chat about. Tell us all about that.
sure. Well, I'm going to ask you a question before I tell you all about me, because I could go down all kinds of different rabbit holes and branches and roots of the tree. Tell me specifically what you'd like to know all about me, and then I can be a little bit more directed about what I share with you and the audience today.
Thank you. Yes, Gary. But, this is like shining the light on you. You've lived such an interesting life. And I mean, I do want you to come back and we can continue the conversation. But just, generally or roughly, how did you get to where you are now?
Okay. Yep.
And
All
what
right.
techniques you've used?
I can answer that one. When I was in my late teens, I was a champion springboard diver, gymnast, track star, and also through college. And around that time, I had been fascinated by a lot of the physical, emotional therapies that were just beginning. The holistic movement was just beginning then at my end of college, 1973. I had done some studies with J.L. Marino, who brought psychodrama to the West. He lived just an hour north of me where I grew up. And I kept moving west. I moved to San Francisco, got into the body therapy, and got into transformational work there. And at that time, I had so much profound physical, emotional, and creative release through my body that out came all of these paintings and stories and songs and poems, plays. I had no idea, because I was more of a scientist up to that point. At least I was doing being the good little boy for mommy and daddy. But after not getting into medical school and feeling moved to move to follow my passion, when I was in San Francisco and had all these different forms of body therapy that I was learning, I found a great calling that's basically been the spearhead pushing me forward in this life. I said to myself, oh my goodness, this was age 20. If this is what's buried in me, I'll bet it's everyone. We're all buried within our own landscapes of this body this body skin we're in. And if when freeing my physical tension, my emotional holding patterns and self-talk, out comes all this creativity, I'm going to devote my life to helping people find their own true gifts and express them in the world. And this has led the way for me to speak about it. When I was speaking about it in my 20s in San Francisco, people rolled their eyes up. Is this just a fad? What is this? What are you talking about? Holistic what? Uh, I kept speaking about it and was becoming quite a good speaker and being able to present about something so off the map from most people's point of view that I began to develop skills as a presentation coach. And that was even in my 20s, that's 50 years ago. And since then, after years of coming out as a court jester and doing even more outrageous expressions of my own adventurous self, I have basically, over the last 20, 30 years, been focusing on helping people communicate by having our mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical selves all lined up by expressing ourselves full-bodied with full engagement and to speak from the authenticity of our deepest core. So this has been my journey, and where I am now at age 72, I'm dedicated to helping people bring our voice and message out into the world. God knows we need to speak up for our lives as never before. The world that we're in is in such a crisis that unless we do speak out, we may be suffocated and even more suppressed. So I am a stand for people taking a stand for our lives. I don't hear anything.
Sorry, I
Now
pressed
I do.
on it now. The joys of technology. And I was just going to say absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that. And if I can just, well, agree with you, Mudra, you are definitely someone who stands up for yourself and for other people in making the most of their lives,
That's
to
my dedication.
really fulfilling their purpose. And I think it's I think we even mentioned, let me just go back, your superpower statement. That's what I wanted, is enhancing the full-bodied engagement, interactive impact, and effectiveness of live and recorded presentations. But that's,
Yes,
if I can say, Gary, that's something, your superpower statement, but you stand for that superpower within us all and help
yes,
others to really experience their own superpower.
exactly. Michelangelo had this beautiful statement that he was known to say, not only being an amazing sculptor of marble, he was quite a poet. Did you know that? One of his most famous statements that's on the back of my business card, I just love using this statement, and it's the underpinning of my entire ways of being in this world, is I saw the angel in the marble and I chiseled away until I set the angel free. Which is to say exactly what you just said, Sophia. We are all highly gifted, and yet, as I see it, we're buried in our own landscapes from being told we're not good enough and then buying into that, being punished or held back, and many of us holding on to the fear that if I speak up, I'm going to be attacked or I'm going to be isolated. And it's absolutely the opposite that's true. The only way to go through a skid is to go through it with all of the vulnerability as strength rather than sounding strong. These are the ways in our perfect imperfection that I am married to this, dedicated to bringing out our deepest, fullest humanity with all of the warts, all of the wounds, all of the shame and blame and anger and pain and joy as one. It's an amazing time to be alive in this cocooned time that we are dealing with such chaos and uncertainty, an immense possibility to speak out, to stand up, to show up as never before.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that, Gary. And I love it. I love your quote from Michelangelo. It's so true that you see the angel within us all. And we see our own angel within us and just slowly chisel away at all the stuff that we've accumulated in our lives. So love it. Thank you very much for that. Tell us, and I have to apologize if I didn't hear it because we have had a couple of techie things, but I'd like
Sure.
to know more about this P.E.A. formula and
Okay.
how does that help other people?
All right. What I'd like to do is show and tell. May I put that on the screen?
Yes, you can.
Can I share the screen?
You can.
Okay. First, I'm going to find it. Then I'm going to show it. Give me a moment here. Do-do-do-do-do. Going into my files, everybody. Communication. Yes. Thank you. And then presentation coaching. Yes. Thank you. And the P formula. Ta-da! And now I'm going to share the screen so everybody can see this cool tool that came to me years ago, which I will make visible for all to see. Where are you? Share screen. There we go. Ta-dum, ta-dum. And here it comes. Hello, hello, hello. Can we see it moving? I want to move it to the center. My fingers are still a little bit numb from being in the waterfall. I think I'm gonna have to open it fresh for some reason. It's on the side. I want to move it to the middle. So give me a moment to figure out how to do that with my frozen hands. Document. Okay. Communication. Thank you. Presentation coaching. Yep. And P formula, please show up in the middle. No, it's showing up on the side. So I think I'm just going to have to deal with it and show you with what I do so well, which is to do it with my body rather than just this graph. Okay, you can see that even though it's on the side, you can still see this is a triangle with the principle, example, and application. I call this the P formula because it's P.E.A. And what this is, it's so powerful. You've seen me use it at different times in the different sessions that I've had with others that you've also been involved with. I find that most people, when we speak, we tend to be a talking head and we give our points or principles. When it's easier to understand what we're saying, then we give an example of what I'm talking about, a multi-sensory example. For instance, one time I, or the best example I can think of that is, and then the application is what's in it for me from the audience's point of view. So now I'm going to stop the share because I do far better with my body than I do with visual aids. I much prefer doing it this way. For all of you who are watching, do this with me. We're making fingers tied, so it kind of looks like a triangle, sort of. This is my demonstration of the P formula. Go like this and say these words after me. P is for point. P is for point, or P is principle, the points I make. For every point I make, I give one example, not a long story, just a for instance, or one time or a great example of this is. And then the A is the application. What's this got to do with you who are listening? Oh, for those of you who are interested in speaking with full body presence and engagement, then you can match your points from now on with a good example and something that connects to the audience. So this is what I call the cycle of communication. And when I teach my presentation coaching, I'm always asking people to give one point, one example, one application. Now, that completes the first cycle. Let's move on to our next point. Very simple, a very cool tool.
Isn't that amazing? It's wonderful.
How do you find that amazing and useful for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, it's a very simple tool, but it's so powerful. Something to remember, to bring about the points of whatever you're talking about, and then how to apply it.
A matter of fact, most people, when I first meet them and they want some coaching to be able to be more engaging and more authentic and matching their verbal message with their physical delivery, there's write their speech out with just points, 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're taught to be mental. However, we've got this amazing body as our chief instrument of communication. My point being that when I coach people to plan a speech, instead of writing down your points, I say, plan your PEAs, PEA1, PEA2, PEA3, and then for every point you make, you've got an example and an application prepared that you can draw on, and the audience is so much more connected, and they'll remember your message and act on it. This is the difference.
It's a very big difference, and I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it, because it's such a powerful tool. And I think, and I would also believe that it would help people remember what they're talking about as well.
Well, that's it. It's a formula.
Example.
And because I make it a practice now, if I say something like, I just came out of the waterfall, okay, that's interesting. What is it about the waterfall? In the waterfall, I practice a sound meditation. Ah, I, oh, ooh. That allows me to physicalize and multi-sensorize my meditation. So I'm able to open my ability to receive inspiration. I'm able to, like the trees, reach up to the light. I'm able to take the I am presence and bring it up and down through the spine. I take all circular processes and I make the sound O through the belly. That demonstrates a connection to all circular processes. Everything that goes out comes back returned, multiplied, and then ooh, like a didgeridoo towards the center of the molten earth through the base of the spine. So now I've given you a visceral visual example of a sound meditation, and then the application would be, find out for you what allows you to be connecting your head, your heart, your guts, your foundation when you speak. So it's a practice. One point, one example, one application, and I just practice it whenever I mention something, and I know people follow what I'm saying and act on it more easily, and they'll remember what I'm saying. Otherwise, I'm a talking head and I lose interest, and so do others.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much. For everyone who is watching, do click on these links and below and reach out to Gary, because especially if you any interest in doing any type of speaking, do reach out to Gary. He's certainly someone who can help you. So Gary, tell us more. And I know we've got so much that we can talk about. That's why I'd love for you to come back. But what about the 3 V's? We've gone from the P.E.A. What about the
All right. Yes, you've been following my notes, my key principles, my teaching points. So the P.E.A. is point number 1. The 3 V's is point number 2. Here's how I demonstrate it, because I like to physicalize everything, so it makes more sense, literally. When we speak, rather than just giving verbal words, we want to match them with vocal sounds and visual delivery. That's the 3 V's. And when we line these up, these 3 V's, it's like looking through the sights of a rifle or the sights of something where you're focusing. When my verbal word, vocal sound, visual delivery matched up, that alignment makes it so much easier for people to get that I'm integrous with my message. I'm not just delivering information, I'm connecting with my resonance and my residents through the voice. And the visual is even more important, particularly when people are seeing us. If it's on the phone, that's something else. But now that we're Zooming a lot and seeing each other all over the world, to have our telling become compelling, I make it a point to make pictures with my hands while I'm vocalizing my verbal message. By making a picture of what I'm saying, notice what's happening to my voice. It slows my voice down, so I'm more in my body, in my presence, in my connectivity with myself, my messaging, and my audience. So pictures that match the sounds, that match the verbal words, the 3 V's of communication. How can you practice? Application, okay? You can practice when you say something, allowing your words to also be shown with your gestures, your fingers, your hands, your arms, your facial gestures, your eye contact, and then notice how it slows you down. There's a presence in you, a magnificent presence that wasn't there when you were rushing through your points. Then people can respond to you. So it's a good way you can actually connect more with whoever you're speaking to, one-on-one or even in groups. The 3 V's.
Wow. Just wow, that's all I can say. I'm just taking a moment just to let that really sink in, because again, it's another powerful technique for people who are talking. There's so much. I mean, even for myself, if I can say, when I first started public speaking, and I know a lot of others, when you first start, there is a certain amount of, nerves and anxiety. Everyone goes through it. But I can really see, by practicing your techniques, it again takes you away from your head.
Yeah.
And thinking about all that stuff, but just really connecting with your body. So thank you. And lastly, well, actually, I've got more questions, but really, before you go, I really want to know about this hero exercise.
Okay. I love it. These are my tools that I've created over the last 20, 30 years. The hero exercise is a simple practice similar to what I showed you earlier when I said, when I'm getting into the zone before I present and I say 3 key words, I'm creative, I'm inspirational, and I'm transformational. I encourage speakers to use those gestures as part of their presentation to train the audience to know what they're going to say before they even say it. Now, in the hero exercise, it's very similar and different in a different way. In this way, let's say, name one of your heroes or heroines. Go ahead, name one.
Oh, name of Wonder Woman. There you go. Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Okay, yeah, it can be a fictional character, cartoon character. It doesn't have to be a real person. So I'm actually going to take you through the exercise, okay? Because it's best in engagement rather than me just telling you. That's the talking head thing. Let's do it in an enlivening way. Here it goes. Imagine yourself standing in front of Wonder Woman. Whew, suddenly she's part of our session today. Of course, you're a bit surprised and delighted. It's been one of your mentors and heroines for ages. And you see her in front of you. And what I would ask you to do, we'll do it for a moment, is have you address her by name, Wonder Woman. So good of you to show up. You've been one of my heroines forever. And here are 3 qualities, similar to the 3 key words that I used before about myself. Here are 3 qualities that I recognize in you that I may not fully own, that I may have disowned in myself. One of the three qualities that I love about you are, could tell her now as though she's in front of you, and I'm listening as though I'm Wonder Woman. Go ahead.
So one of the 3 qualities that I love about you, Wonder Woman, that you really inspire me, is your integrity, definitely.
Great.
That inner strength that really just shines through.
Yes.
We all know about the physical strength, but that inner strength.
Mhm.
And also, I would really say authenticity.
Okay. And one more.
And one more, for me, it's that inner beauty.
Okay.
It's that inner
Right.
beauty shines through as the strength.
Beautiful. And so now the exercise is like this. Imagine yourself standing facing her. And now you're going to put yourself in her body as though you're standing now 180 degrees from where you were. Instead of you being yourself, you feel what it's like to be in Wonder Woman's body, standing, breathing, moving, holding integrity, holding beauty. And what was the 3rd quality?
The inner beauty, the authenticity.
Authenticity, beauty, and integrity. So in those ways, now as she speaks, as though you're Wonder Woman speaking to Sophia now, saying these words, just as she would speak. Sophia, thank you so much for acknowledging in me my integrity, my beauty, and my authenticity. You know, you have that in yourself more than you even realize. But I want you to do it, not just in repeating the words, as though you were in her body, communicating it with her voice, her verbal words, her vocal sounds, and her visual delivery. So this gives you a chance to embody the very qualities that you may have disowned until this exercise. Let's see you do it as Wonder Woman talking to Sophia. And let's see it now.
Okay, so Sophia, do you realize that what you see within me, you've actually got within you? And you, by stepping into your power, your authenticity, not worrying about what anyone else says or does or anything like that, but really being real to you, then that allows your inner beauty, your inner strength to shine through, and gives you such the opportunity to really live a life of integrity because you're being true to who you are.
Beautiful. Now, my observation in seeing you do that, because I've known you now for a year, we've been into many different sessions together in an online space, and I'm observing in your movements, in your eyes, and in your smile right now, in your voice, there were specific things I saw you do that I haven't seen you do in these meetings. One of them was this, when you're talking about integrity. You were moving your arms, not all over the place, but in a way when you were expressing beauty, there was a feeling of a loveliness, like a flower opening. And your eyes started to shine, your face started to smile. This is the exercise now. What did you recognize? It could be the same things. That's me, the presentation coach, witnessing and observing. What did you feel, see, hear in the way that you express that was more like Wonder Woman than you've ever allowed up until now? Tell me.
Well, it's that you're stepping into your power. You're stepping, not just your power, but you're stepping into your truth, the
Yes. And
real who
yep.
you
And
really
and
are.
physically, what I want to know is physically, because we're
Yes.
working with the body here. When you name it physically, here's what I noticed in my gestures. Here's what I felt in my voice. This is what I saw in my eyes and my smile. What physically did you notice, so you can come back to these moments when you need them the most by recognizing you've got these attributes? The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, you know, she had all those qualities the whole time. So did the Scarecrow. So did the lion. You know, so did the Tin Man. They had the same qualities that they thought they were lacking. So this is what the exercise is. What do you now recognize that you can come back to physically that just happened? That was a demonstration. Whenever I do this with my hands, I'll remember that I have. Tell me, yeah.
Well, the energy. That to
There's
me
an energy.
is just is the energy. There's no, there's no head stuff, there's no fear, there's no anxiety. You're actually, it's the energy of the moment that of just being natural.
Exactly. And I see you in this moment with more fluidity in your movements, more smiling in your face. Your head is kind of going a little bit like this. There's a fluidity. Say these words after me. The
Yes.
more I trust what I deeply know,
The more I trust what I deeply know,
the more my thoughts,
the more my thoughts,
my words,
my words,
and my actions
and my actions
fully, freely flow.
fully, freely love.
So we put that into a rhyme so it's easy to remember and encodes in the muscle and the cellular memory instantly. So now when I see you, I'm going to see Wonder Woman more than before, whether you say anything or not, because we've done this exercise. So now you're inhabiting that territory that before you might have had pictures of her in different places and seen movies on her and whatever videos. But now it's like, I can inhabit this without it being an ego thing. I can inhabit these qualities because I've claimed what I've disowned. That is the hero exercise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Much better in an interactive way than talking about it is to bring you right through it.
Oh, so much, Gary. So thank you ever so much for sharing those tips and the techniques, the hero exercise, P.E.A, and the 3 V's. And I know there's so much more. We do have to wrap up for this conversation, but I do
That's
hope to
fine.
come back. But before we go, is there anything else that I could have asked you, and now how would you have answered? Anything else that you would like to share?
It's a sacred responsibility to share these wisdoms. Once I've come across these tools, it's no longer that I have to do this. I have this to do. Notice the difference when you say these words. I have to do this.
Oh, sorry. I have to do this.
And the words, I have this to do.
I have this to do.
Doesn't it free you up? It gives you a feeling of, I have the sacred responsibility to share what wisdom I've collected for the benefit of all including myself. I'd love to connect more with everyone here. People can reach me if they like through simply drgary.club. Gary is spelled Gary, a single R. And that's got all of my YouTube videos and demonstrations of people making breakthroughs. And you'll see a lot of these live moments, including another interview with you. That's there as well. I would love the opportunity for those who are willing and interested. We'll put the links below. I think you mentioned that, to take you on a bit of a journey through the 3 V's, through the P formula, the P.E.A, and the hero exercise. Feel free to connect with me, and we'll put the link below as well. Such a joy to share this way and in this way with you, Sophia. We know each other now a whole year. When we first did this, it was, I think, nearly a year ago.
Okay. I do think Gary
Connected, we are.
You're okay? You were just freezing up there, so.
Yeah, we're in a Starlink modem here in the top of a mountain in our permaculture community. So sometimes it freezes and it's kind of searches between satellites.
Yeah.
Just another way that we can reach more people, and so touched to see and feel you all here. Even though I don't see you physically, I can feel your reaction. I can feel you smiling. I can see some of you moving your body more than you did at the beginning of this session. Good on you. Lovely to meet you all in this way.
Thank you, Gary, and do come back again. And I'm looking forward to having more connections with you.
Likewise.
And I just want to, like, before we finish, just really honor you for bringing your gifts to Sacred You and the world. And we'd love to support you in whatever way we can in sharing these techniques to the world and helping people, whether they're speakers or not, just helping people, guiding people to step into their power. And that,
Yes,
to me, is a blessing that you're bringing to the world. So thank you.
this is where it all begins.
It is too.
Thank you. Feeling blessed to have the opportunity to reach those that you reach. You make such a difference in the world, Sophia, with all the different ways that you shine your light. I have to bring it right back to you. And I feel honored and such a joy to be able to be included in the ways that you